Hey, everybody, welcome to Tuesday Tips. I'm Sarah Torino. Super glad that you are here. Very excited to have Shawnee Lenon with us. Shawnee is from the Green Medicine Shop, and we're talking today about all things CBD. Shawnee, I think the first coolest thing about you is that you come from a medical background. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how and why you decided to be a seller of CBD?
Yeah, I am a pharmacist and I have been for 24 years. And I still do work in the pharmacy part time in my free time, I say. But I didn't know. I mean, just 3 years ago, 4 years ago ish, did not know about CBD. And they do not teach that in pharmacy school, and nothing about how CBD works was ever mentioned. So while we talk about a lot of herbal medications, they never mentioned it. And it still isn't really mentioned, to be honest. I taught pharmacy school right up until 2017, and we still didn't teach anything about it, even to our grads. So I now see it being incorporated into some medical training for pharmacists and for doctors, which is encouraging news, but it's still widely skeptical across most medical fields that it may not be because it's not standardized, that it might not be something that works for people. So there's little faith in anything that is not FDA approved in the medical community in general. So it wouldn't have been something that was on my radar or I would have even considered had I not had a serious injury in a car accident. And after more than a year of physical therapy, I still couldn't get past the inflammation from where the bones had been broken. And my physical therapist had suggested using topical CBD, and I thought, sure, I'll do anything at this point. But the amazing results that I got from it, I mean, visible reduction in inflammation, which does not happen with any topical pharmaceutical that I've ever seen. I've never had anything respond like that. It was amazing. And so at that point, I wanted to know how could that possibly work? I don't understand. How does it work? So then I had to dig in a little bit deeper and go into the chemistry behind it, find out about the physiology and about how it could possibly work within our body. The more research I did, the more I understood how it was more about helping the body heal itself than by adding an external drug in.
So, um, let's just talk about like a little bit of the science. What do you see? How does it work? How does CBD work in the system?
It works through our endocannabinoid system, which is a big word, but we do have cannabinoids, which are molecules within our own body. People are usually familiar with like the runner's high, they call it, and that is the bliss molecule within our own body. And that particular endocannabinoid is within us all the time, and we don't respond to it the same way from person to person. Everybody's a little bit different, and that's why we respond differently to CBD as well. CBD doesn't work directly to increase endocannabinoid, but what it does do is basically makes your body be able to recognize it better and to absorb it better from yourself. So it's actually more just encouraging you to heal yourself by responding to those molecules which are in your body already to maintain homeostasis. And sometimes our bodies forget to respond to that, or there aren't enough receptors. Sometimes that happens. But by adding in the phytocannabinoids, it makes your body more receptive to your own chemicals within your body that help regulate almost every system of the body. So you can be familiar with the musculoskeletal system, the nervous system, the digestive system, and the immune system. People know about those systems, but the endocannabinoid system has a role in each one of those other systems in maintaining homeostasis. And it's just not something people were too familiar with up until even the late 90s.
If you had to say, here are the top 3 reasons why you might want to try CBD, what would they be?
Pain is always number one. Pain from injury or pain from chronic conditions like arthritis are the number one reason, and it also responds well. Anything that's inflammatory, it has a big role. CBD has a big role in controlling the inflammatory process. And you think of medications like aspirin or ibuprofen or things like that for inflammation. And this works on a level that is so much higher than those, that I mean, it's so much safer, and people are always like very concerned about taking something that could be harmful to them. This is safer than aspirin. I mean, safer than aspirin, which anybody can buy at any time. So the concerns there for me are minimal. The risk is so minimal, and the potential for good is so great that it makes more sense than any other medication does.
Yeah. So pain and inflammation.
Pain and inflammation, number one, for sure. And then, especially with things going on in the world today, stress and anxiety is definitely the number two reason. So, and even the folks in pain have stress because of that pain. And so it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal there. And then insomnia is also a factor, tied to the stress and anxiety too of what's going on in the world today. But insomnia all on its own also responds well to CBD and other cannabinoids. Yeah, most of the time, the insomnia that I see, or people come to me and complain of insomnia, it's really pain keeping them awake or stress keeping them awake. It's usually one of the two, and if we can get rid of that problem, it solves all the rest. So
yeah. So let's say someone is like, okay, I have a condition that I want to be treated for. Their first probably inclination is to go online and or go to the gas station that sells CBD. Let's talk about quality and also potency.
Yes, potency is a big thing. So in the United States, there are standards of testing that happen. They're not required to be done for CBD because it's not an FDA approved item. So they don't have to do any testing. And that could make it very affordable because there isn't testing, which is expensive. So you pay for a couple things when you buy CBD products. One is for the potency. So you're paying for the actual molecule. How many milligrams of CBD are you getting? The more it's going to cost. And then also the purity. So if they do an analysis of this product and they test it for all possible pesticides, heavy metals, contaminants like mold and salmonella and stuff like that, and then also test it for potency, but not only potency of CBD, but all other cannabinoids and terpenes. So a complete analysis, what's in there that's working and what's in there that we don't need. And if they have the complete breakdown, that is expensive. I've tried. I've had products tested, and it is amazingly expensive to have them tested for all of those things. So the price goes up because of that. So if you're finding something that's a lot less expensive than everything else, there's a reason for that, and I would stay away.
So where do people find knowledgeable purveyors of CBD?
It's important that it's grown in the right place and that it's tested properly for both purity and for potency in order to know you're getting the right thing. If you just wanted to go online and find a product to buy, I encourage anyone that does that to please look for the labs. So most sites that are reputable at all will have a lab section on their website where you can take a look at the labs and see what they look like. If they tested for just potency, so all you see on there is how much CBD is in this, but nothing else, stay away from that. That means that they didn't invest in the money to make sure there wasn't heavy metals or pesticides in there, and that kind of stuff is bad for your body. You don't want to put that inside of you. So I stay away from anything. If they won't give you the labs before you buy the product, that's also a sign that they might not be on the up and up. So I've had patients come to me and say, hey, I bought this stuff and it doesn't seem to be working. Can you make sure that it's good? And then I'll go and look at their labs. And I've had companies refuse to give me their labs, which probably means they didn't do any, in my opinion. Other times they're like, oh, we only give our labs to customers, but they're not able to get them either. And I'm like, if you're not willing to share the information of the product you're selling, there's probably a reason for that. So I would stay away from those too. So if their labs aren't posted on their site, I would be leery.
One of the things I was surprised about when I came to you, Shawnee, was that CBD came in a topical, as well as it comes in different forms. Can you tell me about the different forms that it comes in?
Yes. So in addition to every individual person responding differently to CBD, every person responds differently to different forms of CBD. So I've had patients who respond one way and not the other way, and vice versa. So it's kind of a process of elimination. And we would generally start, for me, with most of my patients, I will start with the oral tinctures that go under the tongue, just because that is the most effective way of measuring a correct dose and getting it into the bloodstream without having it be lost elsewhere. Tinctures 15 to 20 minutes, they start to get into your bloodstream, but it takes a good, hour or so before it's really there. And it takes a good week before that's actually at a steady state in your body to really start noticing effects where you can then start altering your dose. Topicals, they work in like 5 minutes. So it's amazing, but
So you have tennis, you have cramps, or you have tennis elbow, or I sprained my ankle.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what the topicals are for.
That's what they're for, yeah. One specific place of pain. So when you rub those in, they work in the area you put them, and they work directly to those CBD receptors that are in your skin, your joints, and your tissues. So muscles, skin, and joints. You rub it in, and that's where you get the 5 minutes. You get results. Now, how long that lasts is different for everyone too. So some people will say 4 to 6 hours, others 8 to 12 hours worth of relief before you have to reapply it. You can't apply too much other than wasting money. It's not like you're going to apply too much and hurt yourself in any way. So there's no fear of that.
Can you just quickly explain that there's no THC in CBD? That there's no high that comes from CBD?
Right. CBD is psychoactive. So you'll see some people say, oh, it's not psychoactive. It is psychoactive, and that it's reducing stress and anxiety. Those things, that is psychoactive. It's not intoxicating. Now, marijuana is intoxicating because of its higher level of THC. Some THC is very beneficial to help CBD. It works better together. They call it the entourage effect, but that's basically when more than one cannabinoid is present, the power of both of them is magnified. So it's a 1 + 1 = 10 factor here. When you add cannabinoids together, they work better. The absorption is improved and their efficacy is improved. So that's why people will talk about full spectrum CBD versus isolate CBD. But then isolate CBD, it's pure CBD. There's nothing else in there. They've literally taken everything out. It's just CBD. Mm-hmm. So can that work? Yeah, it can work for people. Sometimes it takes higher doses because you don't have the accompanying friends of other cannabinoids to help it work better. But it still can work. Some things won't respond to CBD alone, and they need the help of the other cannabinoids. And then you go to full spectrum. I usually would start with full spectrum unless there's a reason a person specifically wants 0 THC. But even full spectrum CBD is non-intoxicating, so it's not going to impair your ability to work or drive. And if anything, it increases your focus and makes you a little more productive. So there isn't a fear of getting in a car accident because you took CBD or something like that. It's not going to happen that way. And that isn't a fear that people should have, although I think they do, because cannabis is cannabis and people feel like it's one and the same. Even marijuana got a bad rap, though, from the politics that were involved back then. And like my dad, he's a retired sheriff. And I grew up in the 80s too, being told, this is your brain on drugs. Don't touch this. Marijuana is the devil's weed. All of those things, I heard them all. My dad said them, And my dad uses CBD every day. He actually
the irony.
Yeah, he couldn't sleep. He's had insomnia so badly since he retired. He hasn't been able to sleep. And we did the CBD with him. And while that helps things like his plantar fasciitis and improved his A1C for his diabetes, it didn't really do the sleep for him. It wasn't enough on its own. We had to add THC, which we did add THC to that. And now he sleeps like a baby, but he takes it every night and he tells everyone, nope, this is the thing. This works, and I don't have side effects like I did from the other medications I tried in the past, and you got to try it. He's our biggest sales rep there.
So tell me what your philosophy is with starting low and building up.
Yes, the coin phrase is start low and go slow, and that's for any product from cannabis. And that's because everybody's dose is different. So depending on so many factors, but primarily what product you're using, because all plants are different. The amounts you're getting are going to be somewhat different. So there's that variable. But also the human variable where every person has a different number of receptors and everybody has a different response. Everybody has a different level of their own endocannabinoids within their body already. So all of these things play a role. Plus, what if they do have a physiological disease on top of all of that, it could be even more varied. With all of those factors being considered, they start with a weight-based thing that is a complete stab in the dark. There's absolutely no validity to that whatsoever. But starting at the very bottom based off of weight is what I do, and then slowly build up. We know that it takes, because it's a fat soluble product, it takes a week to get into your fat cells and to be at a steady state in your body. And that's what you're going for, is to get to that level dose where you can maintain that all day long, and get the best relief. Once you start at that low dose, after the first week, you've got that in your fat cells, you're at the steady state, and you can slowly increase every 3 to 5 days with just small amounts each time until you find that place where it's working. And I tell people, if you take more and you don't notice anything, then go back, because you went too far. You know, if you go too far, it actually becomes less effective. So
Shawnee does intake. She makes recommendations based on what you tell her. Tell me the one case that just kind of blew your mind.
We have a patient who's been coming to us for quite a while who has MS, and obviously that's not a thing you're going to cure, but improving her quality of life is what we set out to do. At the time, she couldn't even work because of the amount of pain she was in, and the pain caused her a lot of anxiety, which made it worse. And it took a while to get her right dose, and we started with one product and ended up having her on 3 different products now that we stagger throughout the day. But she has made remarkable improvements, and it took some tinkering and some persistence on her part. But she's a very compliant patient, and she's gotten, not completely pain-free by any means, but definitely reduced her pain to a level that she feels better. Her anxiety is improved, and she's gotten to go back to work now, which has even helped her more with the mood, for sure. But just from then to now, to see her, it's obvious that things have improved for her. Her entire life has improved for her because of this, and it's just amazing to see that.
So where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Our website at thegreenmedicineshop.com, or on Facebook at Green Medicine Shop. You can find us too. Both locations will take you, and there's a link there for asking a question, which comes to me. So I'm happy to answer people's questions if they have questions or concerns, and we can purchase products right on the website as well.
Shawnee, thank you so much for your time and expertise today.
No, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, my absolute pleasure.